Peterson, Peterson, Peterson. Wrong. Lies. It was a clickbait channel. This video is about spaceships, because it has to be about spaceships, and Peterson would agree with me. Just as relevant. Spaceships. So, how are we going to start this video? We're going to read lyrics to a song. Song by Josh Wheaton, of all people. Okay, so, we're reading the song title. Take my love, take my land, take me where I cannot stand. I don't care, I'm still free. You can't take the sky from me. Take me out to the black. Tell them I ain't coming back. Burn the land, boil the sea. You can't take the sky from me. There's no place I can be since I found serenity, and you can't take the sky from me. Leave the men where they lay, they'll never see another day. Lost my soul, lost my dream, you can't take the sky from me. I feel the black reaching out, I hear its song without a doubt. I still hear and I still see, you can't take the sky from me. Lost my love, lost my land, lost the last place I could stand. There's no place I can be since I found serenity, and you can't take the sky from me. So what does it mean? And why do we sing it? Why do hundreds and hundreds of people sing it? And why do we care about spaceships and space cowboys? And why do we care about a fictional civil war in an empire that never existed? Well, because it did exist. Because it is the war that we all live out. Because we are all the empire and the rebel at the same time. So let's hear it. Let's hear what this song is saying, and maybe we can understand, like we sing it like a modern church hymn, why this is up there with Amazing Grace for some people. My computer did one of those flashy things and it just messed me up for a second. All right. Listen to it. Take my love, take my land, take me where I cannot stand. I don't care, I'm still free. You can't take the sky from me. Now maybe I can't say this is the American spirit embodied in a sci-fi song. Maybe I can't say that, but I can say this is the type of spirit that built America. And I don't mean the crazy on its head America. I mean the dream of it. I mean it when it's working its best. When it is that hope of liberty and pursuit of happiness for all, disregarding anything. That's what I mean. I mean the ideal of America when I say America. Take me out into the black. So, what is the black? Well, it's the belly of the whale. It's the hard place. It's the thing so far past your own resources that you don't know. It's chaos. Burn the land. Boil the sea. So the resources that bore you, all of the things you've had to fall back on, let them fall away. You can't take the sky from me. The sky, what is the sky in this case? The thing above you, the higher hope. And I think that's what this is. This is saying, I will have hope beyond hope. I will not despair in my burdens. I will have hope. Even a fool's hope, but I will have it. It's taking it. It's not allowing it to be gone. Take me out into the black. Well, no, it just says take me out to the black. I think you end up putting into because it makes sense, but tell them I ain't coming back. I'm not coming back to the resources. I'm not coming back to the place it was easier. Take my love, take my land, take me where I cannot stand. All surety, take me past it. I'm ready. I'm ready to bear that up. You can't take the sky from me. I will not give up hope. So that's probably enough on that song. But why do we tell tales of space cowboys? Like, what's that about? And why is it so good? I mean, the best. Like, Firefly was so good they had to cancel it because it was unbearable. It was unbearably good. Like, that's the only thing that makes sense to me. And that's a lot of these spaceship shows. I mean, Star Trek was a little bit different, but the good parts of it weren't, because there was always somebody deciding they had to operate past the rules, past the prime directive, because why? Well, it makes a good show, it makes a good story. That is the hero's tale, to go right up to everything expected of you and surpass it through basically your own arrogance, but your own internal guts supersede the state. And that's a lot of times that was the theme on Star Trek, like especially The Next Generation. Voyager went right up into that line. It went back and forth, and that was its own thing. Yeah. And so you've got Star Trek and the idea of a whole in society doing it, and then you have Firefly and the aftermath of the Civil War and the aftermath of people trying to make people perfect. And that was the whole thing with the Serenity movie, was this girl that the government had basically abducted was getting these basically psychological reverberations from a planet that had been basically euthanized through a misguided attempt to make everybody passive. And half of the population, or maybe it was 80%, I don't know, somebody who's a greater power level of nerd than me will know the exact percentage of people that just died from the airborne drug, and then the other part became reavers, which were basically crazed cannibals because their aggression went the other way and it like maximized. But that was the premise of Serenity, is people beyond the structure of the law. And a lot of these little spaceship shows, and The Expanse is a good one on this, because that is the Rosinante. Like, it's a salvaged Martian ship, and they have to struggle for their autonomy and their legitimacy within the frame, but also they're the only ones who can operate without the frame. And I'm pretty obsessed with The Expanse. I think The Expanse is up there with the way Peterson talks about Pinocchio. I think this Expanse may be emergent, which almost makes me scared to talk about it, because I don't want them to realize that and begin messing with it. I want them to just play out. Like, don't talk to them about it. Don't give them input. Let it play out, because I think it is an emergent part of our culture, and I think that's why it is so good. But what is a spaceship? What are these little spaceships like the Firefly ship and the Rocinante? Maybe the Enterprise. The Enterprise is in a little different class because it's part of the Federation, right? It's part of that superstructure. Well, this is my super scientific model of what a spaceship could be, right? So a spaceship is a reintegration of work and home, but then it is also a reintegration of sovereignty. A spaceship is sovereignty through technology. Everything you need being yours, and maybe it is a hope to get beyond the burden of tax. Like, if everything you have is yours, you don't need the rest of society, maybe? And maybe that's never something that can come to pass, but maybe that's a dream, an ideal. Maybe that's a way to be your own master, even if it's just the dream. And it's this idea of you can have home, and you can have the things you need to sustain you, and you can have power. And I think that's that physical representation of like thrusters and warp speed and like all of that stuff is like this manifestation of power to propel you through the universe. And what's really, really crazy is there are amazing parallels to brilliant little ship stories and homesteads. Because, so a homestead is a home and an adjoining tract of land, and like the ideal is that on that tract of land you could raise some kind of thing that could provide for the family. So you wouldn't have to do more. Like, you could do more, but you wouldn't have to do more. And so, I mean, that's the idea of a ship, is like, you could move stuff, or you could, like, the power of the ship itself is what could sustain the crew, and the crew would be who was important to each other. And people, when they're on those shows and they talk about the crew, there's this, they're using the word crew, but there is a sentiment put into it that means family. And it's really interesting. And I find this too on the really cruddy, somebody will like them and they're like, that's not cruddy, but like Gotham and Arrow and these different things, and they get to talk about my city, which is, if someone not from a city, it's just insufferable, because I don't know what a city is, and a city seems like something that would be pretty easy to cripple to me because it doesn't grow any food there, so that just seems dumb. But they mean the same thing, right? When they say, my city, our city, and like all these problems in these cities, and I'm just thinking to myself, leave. Like, I would never live in Gotham. I would not have lived in, I would have, first time there's a super crazy person throwing poison gas places, I'd be like, pack up the kids, babe, let's go. And I would never stay in Gotham. Why did anyone stay there? It's insane. Anyway, not part of this video. So like, what do these spaceships mean, and what is this space cowboy thing? I think it really matters, and I think this really strange spirit, I think this is one of those cultural things that is kind of truly good. And like, I know a lot of people, like, it's easy to dismiss sci-fi, right? But sci-fi is this safe space we have to talk about things past what is acceptable speech. And like, Tolkien was a genius at this, right? So like, way back in the day, still world of segregated peoples and world of racism and stuff, he successfully wrote a book about how stupid it was. Like, it wasn't just about that, it was about a whole crazy amount of things. But he had the elves, who were portrayed as fair-skinned, and the dwarves, who were portrayed as light-skinned. And he had the elves and the dwarves have this ongoing feud that neither of them knew what it was about, and he was able to talk about racism, basically, without having to talk about racism. And that is great, because when you can talk about something without talking about it directly, it keeps people from getting wrapped up in being defensive or appropriate prematurely to the point they can't think. Because we have a lot of subjects that people are trapped in their little paradigms and they get defensive prematurely to the point they can't think, and you can't have useful conversations with them. And like, the best I've figured to do with those kind of things is try to get rid of useless words. But I don't know how functional that is. That's just like my running theory. But I don't know. I would say more about Peterson, but I think it's given and I think it's being done, and I think it's going to be okay. And it's not going to be okay because it's easy. It's going to be okay because a lot of people are willing for it to be hard. So this was my little video on why spaceships matter, and it's not a usual conversation with Herb. I have not been remembering my dreams. Don't know. Just the way it's been. Well, talk to you later.